Good morning, YouTube. Bookham Dano here. Hey, I wanted to show off some of the books I got at C2E2, so let's get started. First one here is Lady Killer Volume 2, Number 1. I was going to each of the publishers' booths, and at the Dark Horse booth, they were actually giving this away. So I picked up a copy. We didn't have one, and then I went over to Joelle Jones' booth, and she signed it for us. So I was happy to have that, and the price was right. So pretty cool. Another signature I got was Cullen Bunn. This is Dark Arc number 1. This is, I believe it's a retailer variant. I picked this up at my local comic shop. I'm really enjoying the story. It's pretty cool. So I would, having Cullen Bunn there, thought I'd go up and get it signed. I was surprised there didn't seem to be that many people there, like in line to see him. So it was pretty easy to get my book signed. And then while I was at the Aftershock booth, which I went to before I went to see him, they had this, Brothers Dracul number 1. Now this is a convention exclusive. They had 2 covers there. And part of the cool thing about it was that this book doesn't come out until today, April 11th. So I was able to grab that before the book actually comes out. And he, it's a convention exclusive, and he signed it for me. So very cool. I'm kind of excited about this story. I kind of regret not maybe getting one of these witnessed and sent off for CGC. I did so I did a couple things with CGC this past weekend. I took 3 books in for the on-site grading. I showed those off in a previous video. And my experience on that was, pretty decent, with a couple just, mild service disappointments. I really don't think it was the employees' fault, at least not any particular one. But they just had a couple snafus that like I said, was just slightly disappointing. But I also dropped off 2 books to send back to CGC. These are Silver Age books. I wanted to get them pressed and and slab, so they can't do that for on-site. So I didn't, I just paid for the bare minimum. I didn't fast track them. It's going to be late summer, I bet, before I get them back, and that's fine. So I had everything filled out ahead of time. Dropped off the 2 books for to send back to Florida, and I did the 3 on-site grading books. And then I was really torn about using the CGC Witness program. I'm going to talk about that more in a minute when I show a book a little bit later on. So if you saw my other video, I had quite a long wait, over an hour, to drop books off at the on-site grading drop-off, which, I had never done it before, so I didn't know what to expect. But the guy behind me worked for Rocket Comics. He does this every convention. He had a suitcase with him, and he said he had a couple, something like 80 comics in there to drop off for on-site grading. And he said at the last con he was at, which was just the weekend before, the on-site grading, you just walked up, handed your books over to them because your invoice has already been filled out and printed, and they just double check everything and you're good to go. It's a couple of minutes. So he was surprised by the long wait. So while I was waiting, this is first thing on Friday morning. Con's just getting started. Some of the booths are still setting up. So there's one guy kind of working the line, comic shop, and he had Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man with the first appearance of Red Goblin. I should have grabbed one of those. I'm just not really a Marvel. I'm trying to focus on DC, which is hard enough to keep up with, But I did want this. This is the Stanley Lau variant for Thor 705. It's a beautiful cover for one thing. I like Art Germ's work, but then it's also a key issue. I understand anyway. With, I believe, the death of Jane Foster. So I was happy to get that. It was $5, bagged and boarded. Happy to do that. One thing I did, like last year, we found a comic booth shop that was set up there called Mayhem Comics. They're from, I think they have stores in Ames, Iowa, and Des Moines, Iowa. And they have a bunch of like statues and toys that they give away as prizes, and they have these like mystery packs of 15 comics for $10. And it's a little bit like Willy Wonka. You open your mystery pack, and if there's a ticket inside for one of the prizes, you get that. So we had bought a few of those last year, trying to get win a statue, and didn't get it, but I was pretty happy with the comics that were in it. So it's like 13, could be 13 anything comics, and then there's 2 that are variants that are guaranteed to be, at least $5. So, theoretically, you're at least going to get your money back on those 2. Plus, if there's anything else that's cool in there. So I bought 2 of these $10 comic packs. Not really a big deal. But there's a couple cool things in there. One of them was another Art Germ, Supergirl number 16. I love these covers. Not sure if I'm going to hang on to this one or not, but it's pretty cool. And then one of the other books in there was a Secret Weapons number 1, which I didn't know anything about. It's a Valiant book, but I looked it up, and it seems to be it went into at least a second printing, and seems to be somewhat in demand. So I was pretty happy to learn that. Excuse me, getting a little coffee here. Okay, let's clear these out. Okay, so let's talk about the other thing here. My other CGC dilemma or decision I had to make. This, of course, is Batman 44 cover B. It's the Jolie Jones, Catwoman wedding dress cover, which my wife is such a huge fan of. We also got a print of this signed by Joelle Jones. So this is pretty cool. It was $5. It was the last one that I could find at the whole stupid convention. But it does have a tick mark or 2 on the spine, so it's not a 9.8. But they did have a silver foil convention variant of this for C2E2, and I purchased that. It was $15, and I thought, this is pretty cool. I would love to get it signed by Tom King and Joelle Jones. So then I had a decision to make. I knew there was a company there called Desert Winds that I had. I'd run across their booth, and they pretty much just had like stacks of other people's comics there. And so I asked him what they did, and he explained the whole thing. They're like an official CGC witness, and they they'll wait in line, get the book signed for you, and then submit it to CGC. So my decision was, hey, do I pay these guys a few extra bucks to do the heavy lifting here, or do I go get a CGC witness and try to do this myself? And the problem was, like with Cullen Bunn, I probably should have done that. I should have gone back, got another one of those convention exclusive Brothers Dracul, gotten a witness, gone to his booth, and got it signed. There wasn't a long wait. He was at his booth pretty much every time I walked by. So other than a couple panels he did. So it works well in that situation. But with a guy like Tom King, who seemed to be in his booth sporadically, I never actually saw him there. And then when he was, of course, had a line 100 strong. Do you want to take the risk of being there and maybe he sees the first 90 people in line and then he has to go do a panel or something? So I decided to use the Desert Winds service, and so at the end of the con, Sunday afternoon, I went up and asked if they, and to be fair to Desert Winds, I finally made the decision Sunday morning and gave them the book when the con opened on Sunday morning. So they didn't have a whole lot of time to work with. So they got Joelle Jones' signature, no problem. She was readily available. But they did not get Tom King because he left Saturday. He left Saturday after the con, or Saturday afternoon, and which surprised a lot of people. Now, I think it was his kid's birthday on Sunday, so I understand that, but a lot of people were expecting him to be available. So I understand that. But anyway, it was a good thing that I went with Desert Winds because they can keep the book and then just go to the next con with it, get it signed by Tom King, and then submit it to CGC. It takes a little bit longer, but if I had done it myself, and I would have gotten the Joelle Jones signature, no problem, but then I would have had to make a decision because CGC would not let me keep the book, certainly, and I would have either had to go ahead and get it slabbed with just her signature on it, which okay, but still way cooler with both, and I would have just been SOL on the Tom King signature. So that's the benefit of the service, I guess. So anyway, sorry about the long story, but sometime, probably not before fall, I will be getting back a silver foil Batman 44 variant signed by both of them in a nice CGC yellow label case, and I ordered pressing, so it seems to me there's no reason it shouldn't come back a 9.8. So stoked about that, but I'm going to have to be patient. I was missing a couple Star Wars action figure variants. 41 was one of them. I got that. I should have just grabbed 40. The guy had it. 40, if you don't know, is Luke Skywalker in the Bespin outfit, and it was a John Tyler Christopher exclusive, which means there's only 3,000 copies, and you have to somehow you have to get it like directly through his website or something. So they're going for eBay, on $35-40, and this guy had one. He was willing to sell it for $35. I kind of hate to spend that much money on a modern comic, so I thought, well, I'll think about it, and I did really mean to go back and offer him $30 and see if I could get it, but I didn't. So he gave me his business card. Maybe I'll reach out to him and see if he's still got it, willing to sell. Okay, I did get a few. Got some stuff from Torpedo Comics, which I was pretty happy to get. I have a real high grade copy of the Marvel Tarzan number 2 and Marvel Tarzan number 3. I started to read number 2 the other day before the con, and it's based on the book. It's kind of like a Tarzan and the Jewels of Opar, but the story picked up right where issue number 1 left off, and I thought, it's not a expensive book. I will I'll look for a nice copy. Torpedo Comics had one. They graded this at 8.0. They've got a nice grade stamp there. Torpedo Comics on it. And this is, it's a nice copy. It's in Mylar with a full backing board. And I know they have a $12 price on there. I went to, I didn't try to dicker or anything, because I was going to buy some, slightly bigger books a little bit later. But I handed him the $12 and he's like, let's just call it 10. So that was cool. And of course, Torpedo Comics, as I mentioned last year when I discovered them, the owner, John Doleman, is also the drummer for System of a Down. So I talked to him a little bit. He's a super cool guy. And then I was kind of half stoked and then disappointed. On Monday, System of a Down announced some U.S. shows. And, I've been waiting for this for a long time. I saw him back in 2004, and it was a great show. And I told him that, and he's like, we're even better now. And I was kind of like, well, tour, and I'll go see you. But they're all on the West Coast, which I can't get to. So, bummed about that. But maybe they'll add some more shows. Here's another book I got at Torpedo Comics. This is Detective Comics 523. It's the first appearance of Killer Croc. This is a nice high-grade book. They're asking $45 for it, and I think he charged me $35. I had bundled it with another book that I'll show in a minute. Another book I was looking for, another one that wasn't very expensive, Wonder Woman number 7. It's the first appearance of Barbara Minerva, who's Cheetah, and the Barbara Minerva Cheetah is going to be in the new movie. I just, when you can find a low price, kind of semi-key book like that, I'm always happy to do it. And I bundled it with this, which is, a little bit more of a key issue, Batman 635. This great cover, fighting Red Hood. So this is a high grade copy. It's certainly not a 9.8, but it's still pretty good shape. So I bought this, and however you want to look at it, I either paid full price for this and got the Wonder Woman for free, or he gave me $10 off the little bundle there. Another book I bought at the same time as that Star Wars 41 was Swamp Thing Winter Special. Paid $13 for that. I was excited to get that. I hadn't read it, and that went into at least a second printing. Okay. We also spent some time talking with Aunt Lucia and had him sign. We've got 2 of the statues, and so our plan is we have the statues on a shelf, and then right above it on the wall we have the comic that the statue is based on. So we're still looking for the Flash statue, but we got the comic signed. And these are not expensive books either. These are the bombshell variants. This is the Mara. I've still got it in my signing bag, but so he signed that for us. We're looking for those 2 statues. We have this statue, the Joker Harley Quinn one. He signed this for us, and I also took the plates in the like the nameplate of the statue. So didn't risk getting the statue damaged or anything. It's just the nameplate, and he signed that for us. So we'll have both the statue plate and the it just kind of connects magnetically to the base. But we have both the statue and the comic signed, and then we've also got the Batwoman. I love this cover. Here, let me get it out of the thing, because sorry, bear with me 1 second here. So I got this statue for my birthday from my lovely wife, and so he's signed the comic, and again also signed the statue for us. And then this was the last book I got. This is Lois Lane number 70, first appearance of Catwoman in the Silver Age. So I was happy to get this. This was another book I got at Torpedo, and they bundled it with the with that Detective 523. This was not very expensive. It's a low grade copy. You can see 4.0 with the Torpedo stamp there, and it's a subscription copy. So if you look, you can see there's a I don't know if it's pretty tough to see in the Mylar, but there is the subscription crease down the middle, but it's not egregious, and it's nice bright cover that looks pretty good in the Mylar, I think. So again, not a super expensive book. They had a $100 price tag on it, and sold it to me for $80. So very happy to do that. Okay, thanks for watching YouTube. I'll have some more videos coming out shortly.